Hey, what you reading for?
There is a term in psychology called l'appel du vide, or the call of the void, to describe the experience of intrusive thoughts or unwelcome notions that just pop into our head uninvited and compel us or suggest to us that it might be interesting to throw ourselves off a cliff or jump off a bridge or some other staggering height. Healthline.com says that this is a fairly normal experience. So that's reassuring. There are other manifestations of l'appel du vide, these intrusive thoughts that call us to an act of self-harm or self-destruction. Feeling a sudden urge to jump in front of an oncoming train. That's one such manifestation that comes to mind. Healthline.com didn't say anything about that. You know when you're holding a baby, right? It's not your baby. Somebody just gives you a baby. Hey, do you want to hold the baby? And before you can respond, right, you've got this baby in your arms. Now, you do not want to drop the baby. Dropping the baby is the last thing you want to do. In fact, you might even say to yourself, do not drop the baby, right? But then out of nowhere, this thought just comes to your mind. What would happen if I dropped the baby? What would happen if it wasn't an accident? What if I just throw the baby to the ground? What a horrible thought. You don't want to throw the baby to the ground. Throwing the baby to the ground is the last thing you want to do. But then, why did your shoulder twitch just as that thought came to your mind? Why is it that you felt your hold on the baby suddenly slacken a bit at that instant? I mean, was that intentional? Do I not have control? So immediately you give the baby back to your sister or whoever, right? L'appel du vide isn't just about the sudden urge to jump off a cliff. L'appel du vide is about many other impulses that we do not talk about in polite society. Recently, I read Piercing by Ryu Murakami, and I want to talk about it. This conversation might go to some pretty dark places. I don't know where this conversation is headed. That book has scrambled my brains, I think. If you like books that challenge you, disturbing books, I hope that you will consider subscribing to this channel. Disturbing books isn't all I talk about here, a combination of literary, horror, classics, and contemporary, but I do like it dark, and I do like to be challenged. And I do want the channel to grow, so I thank you for your support. A few months ago, I put out a video called The Most Disturbing Books I Have Ever Read, where I created 4 categories of disturbing books, and I selected 2 titles to fit each category. So what I'd like to do now is I will hand things over to the great Polish composer Henri Gorecki for a short intro sequence where I will feature the book covers of those 8 books that I selected for that video. And I'll see you on the other side to have a tough talk about a tough book. Piercing by Ryu Murakami came out in 1994, and it did fairly well. It was a pretty big hit. And Murakami had quite a bit of success as a novelist in the late 70s, 80s, and 90s. He followed up Piercing with 2 successful novels, In the Miso Soup in 97, and an Audition, which he, as a filmmaker, would turn into a successful movie. I have not seen the movie, but I've heard good things about it. I've heard that it's dark and interesting and that I should definitely check it out. So the name Ryu Murakami was on my radar. And when I was checking out lists of most disturbing books you need to read, and I saw that Piercing by Ryu Murakami was frequently mentioned, so I decided to read it. It's a short book. It's about 200 pages. I read it in 2.5 days, 3.5 hours total. It starts off with this 29-year-old Japanese man, recent husband, a recent father of an infant daughter. In the opening scene, he is watching his daughter sleep, and he has an ice pick in his hand. Now, he doesn't understand why he feels this impulse to pierce his infant daughter with an ice pick. He does not think that this impulse is normal. In fact, he thinks that it is bad. It is not healthy, not constructive. He does not want to act on the impulse. What he wants to do is he wants to get rid of the impulse. You see, this is not the first time that he has felt the urge to pierce flesh with an ice pick. Now, to get rid of this impulse, or to learn to live with it, worst case scenario, there are a few things that he could do. He could seek professional help. I don't know much about psychology, if I'm being honest, but I do know that many people have made it their profession to help people with concerns like this. I don't know how successful they would be at helping him overcome this urge. I have not had personally much experience with psychologists. I have seen a psychologist twice in my life, and both times the psychologist asked me tons of personal questions. I am not comfortable when people ask me personal questions. So I did not go back to see them. Consequently, they were not able to help me overcome my phobia of having to answer personal questions. But I assume that this ice pick fascination, I assume that there is a root cause to it, and I assume that the psychologist could help him identify that root cause and perhaps find ways to deal with it. But our protagonist did not go that route. He did not decide to seek professional help. Instead, he decides, well, he convinces himself that his urge to pierce flesh with an ice pick is a product of his curiosity. And he convinces himself that this urge will go away once the curiosity has been satisfied. Now, he does not want to satisfy this curiosity on his infant daughter. So what he decides is that he is going to hire a sex worker to satisfy his curiosity. One who he estimates will not be missed by friends or relatives, because we're not talking about a simple pick and patch up job. He wants to explore. Now, there are a few problems with this plan. Firstly, a sex worker is a person, and killing or harming a person is wrong. It's illegal, in fact, even in Japan. So he runs the risk of getting caught and getting sent to jail. Now, he takes this problem into consideration, and he does what he considers to be meticulous planning. I don't know. It seems to me that his plan has a few holes in it, no pun intended. One thing he does not consider that this sex worker that he hires, he doesn't know who it is. And a sex worker, one, presumably that's not going to be missed by friends or relatives, there is a good chance that this person has had or comes from a difficult or disadvantaged background. There's a good chance that their mental or emotional stability has a few cracks in it. I don't know the statistics behind that to back it up, but I don't think that's an unreasonable assumption to make. But the truth is, you don't know. You don't know where this person comes from, what this person's been through, and what's going on in their head. And when you hire a sex worker to pierce with an ice pick, you're taking a risk. What if he gets this sex worker and prepares to pierce her flesh with an ice pick, and what if she wants that or thinks she wants that? And is he going to satisfy his curiosity, or is he opening himself up to a whole new lifestyle change? I had this girlfriend a few years ago, a few decades ago actually. I loved this girl, and I knew that prior to meeting me, she had been in an abusive relationship. And we didn't talk about this much or explore this, but months and months into the relationship, I came to understand that there was an aspect to this abusive relationship, a part of it, that she felt nostalgic about, that she missed. There was a part, probably a small part of this abusive relationship that she enjoyed. Her words, not my imagination, not me. Now, I love this girl, right? I want to make her happy. I want to fulfill all her desires. Does that mean that this relationship is headed into a place where I'm going to have to explore some participation in some form of an abusive relationship to satisfy her? Am I going to have to adopt behaviors that I'm not comfortable with? I have never explored this kind of darkness before. I explored darkness as a fiction writer, but never in an intimate relationship like this. I am not an abusive person. I've never been an abusive boyfriend. I always thought that, treat people with dignity and respect. Treating people bad is wrong. I'm not the tough guy that puts the woman in her place. That's not me. So I was concerned. What am I being asked to do? And what if I, in an effort to please her, I take on these behaviors, and what if I like it? What if, in trying to please her, I manifest a darker side of myself that I'm not able to get rid of? What if I discover that I'm not that guy? Is this where the relationship is headed? What if I'm holding the baby and my shoulder twitches and my reflexes are slow to catch it, and what if the baby falls? What if my reflexes are slow because I intentionally slowed them down? And how would I even know if it's intentional or not? I don't want to hold the baby is what I'm saying. Don't give me the baby. Maybe if I'm sitting on a sofa in front of a plush carpet, but I don't want to hold the baby. That's inviting too many dark possibilities. No, thank you. So I really liked Piercing by Ryu Murakami. Found it very interesting and compelling. What I want in a disturbing book is something quite specific. I don't have the stomach for cruelty or cruel or gleeful violence. I don't have the stomach for that. I don't have the stomach for sexual assault either. What I want from a disturbing book is something more psychologically disturbing. I want to explore the dark areas of the mind, the thin and fragile line between sane and spiraling madness, and the terrifying realization that it's often difficult to recognize the difference. On that level, Piercing satisfied me. I really enjoyed it for that. I also enjoyed how the perspective switches back and forth between the man and the sex worker, how they are each misunderstanding the intentions of the other, and they're misunderstanding their own intentions and their own motivations. I found that very interesting as well. Now, would I read another book by Ryu Murakami? Well, I have looked at the synopsis of In the Miso Soup, and I got the impression that that book might be too violent for me. It looks like it might veer too much into misogyny. I don't know if it does, but that's the impression I got from reading the synopsis and from reading a few reviews. And for the synopsis for Audition, that didn't really appeal to me. So I'm not eager to go out and read that one or even see the movie. He does have books from the late 70s and from the 80s as well. And I did enjoy Piercing, so I am not opposed to reading another book by Ryu Murakami. But there are so many other authors out there I want to check out that I probably won't read another one from Murakami, at least not anytime soon. But I am definitely glad that I read this one. Do you have any experience with this author? Did you read or have you read Piercing? What did you think? I would love to hear your opinions. And if you made it this far and you are not a subscriber, go ahead. Why fight the urge? Just click that subscribe button and let's see how big we can get this channel, right? And thank you for watching, and I will see you at the next video.